Why, hello. You're listening to Questboard, a podcast where we make up random side quests. My name is Brandon.
And I'm Tiffany. Just so y'all know, we are not professional writers in any way, shape, or form. At least we don't claim to be. We just really like tabletop RPGs, and we do this for fun.
And I have fun every episode, don't you?
I have a blast, except for the ones that are really hard to figure out.
Yeah, and then it turns into like an agonizing obstacle, is the best way to describe it.
Then it just becomes work.
I wouldn't say it's work. I feel like it's just like,
Still managed to have fun by the end of it, though.
there's a couple that I'm just I'm so drained and exhausted at the end.
But it's satisfying. We did a thing. We created something.
As long as it's something you're proud of.
Yeah.
And most of these things I am proud of.
We've come up with some good ones. Just to pat myself on the back there.
I'm actually proud of our title naming convention.
Yeah, that's fun to do.
That is also its own thing of like headache if we could think of something good or like trudge through it.
A little behind the scenes here. We do try to make all of the titles puns on purpose.
Yeah, we're starting to run out though.
Yeah, my pun generator's not firing on all cylinders anymore.
It's an art. It really is.
Sometimes the puns write themselves.
Okay, I think we need to find out what we got. Do you have dice?
I got him. 44.
44? Well, we haven't done that one, but it's a long one.
Oh boy.
A notice to those on hard times that the mines are hiring. The tagline on the bottom says, "We've cleared out the danger that once struck our mine and threatened the safety of the miners. We are confident that resuming our operations shall be fruitful and safe for all." This reminds me of last episode where it was like that Doctors Guild,
Oh yeah.
where it was just like, this sounds just like a generic job. How
Right?
do you give that for like adventurers?
Goodness.
I mean, we did a decent job on that episode, so like,
Yeah.
I'm somewhat confident that we could possibly think of something here.
I mean, what if we spun it so that this was the notice to help clear out the mines?
No, this one's like clearly says that like, hey, we cleared out the danger.
Yeah, but what
You
if...
could come back to work.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe they go see if there's part-time hiring, and go do a little mining, get paid for it.
I think we've done this before, but what if this mine basically leads to the Underdark?
Oh, another one of those.
Yeah, we did that before, so I don't know if like we want to go that route again.
I mean, just about any cave could possibly lead to the Underdark if you go deep enough.
I know, right? I was about to say something else that we've done before as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if it just like they accidentally encroach in on like a dwarven city, basically.
Yeah, we've done that one too.
We've done.
This is the problem you run into when you have enough episodes.
I don't want to double back. Yeah, I know this is the problem.
Okay. I mean, you could throw in the parentheses. Yes, I can see it too.
Well, I thought we agreed not to include parentheses.
I know, but I feel like that makes this a little bit easier. Okay, fine. No parentheses. We can stick to our rule.
Yeah, we gotta be consistent on the show.
Fine.
Somewhat.
So, notice to those on hard times that the mines are hiring. How can we make that appealing to adventurers?
I don't know. Like, at least the last one is like, oh, we could make that adventurous about going and not being stuck in one place.
Yeah.
This one is actually, you can't move a mine.
This one is do a job.
I know. We were so confident. Why did we talk about it earlier? This is what we get. Our hubris.
Okay, how about if the adventurers do actually follow this lead, they'll find out that the mine is doing a trial run series where people can try out mining for, say, a day and see if they like it or if they're a fit for it, and they can keep 50% of what they mine.
Oh, I thought of possibly something.
What's that?
What you said inspired me to think of like, what if this is just like nothing like extraordinary, but it's just like they figure out that like the owner of the mines is like, oh, like putting through the workers horrible work conditions or anything like that. Just an evil, just like business owner kind of approach.
Interesting.
We don't have to do the exorbitant discovering the Underdark or discovering a city. but it's like quote unquote the business owners are the real evil.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, do you want to just make like the mine owner like
An evil
it,
business owner who doesn't care about his employees.
I was gonna say like usually when they have like evil business owners, they're like part of a gang or a mafia or something like that.
Oh, mine mafia?
Okay, let's go with the more stereotypes. It's a dwarven owner, obviously. It's a dwarven like mafia.
Mhm, mhm. I've got a name that kinda jumped out from my list. Oh, nope, found a better one.
Okay.
Okay, the first name that jumped out at me was Dean Holden.
Dean Holden?
Yeah, it doesn't sound very dwarven, does it?
No.
But the second one that popped out at me is Derek Payne, Payne.
I mean, that does sound like a horrible business owner kind of name.
Yeah, but then you had to throw dwarven at me, so
I'm sorry, but it's like following the stereotype of like, the mines and all that.
mhm,
It kind of fits. And it'll be like a dwarven kind of mafia group that it's like the bootleggers or moonshiners
mhm.
back in the prohibition days that like led to the um forming of the mafia in Chicago and all that stuff. Is because they got their money from like alcohol, illegal alcohol sales. So what happens if this mafia got their money through just like extorting and like having a complete control over the mining business?
Yeah.
They're obviously mafia, so they do illegal things, but they have an actual front
What if
where it's the mining.
what if they're not, your average dwarf? What if they're dwergar? Deep dwarves.
Yeah, I know Dwargar. It's the doors of the Underdark,
Yeah, for those of you who don't know.
but they are sensitive to light.
They might, yeah, so they can just stay in the mine. That's why they're hiring from outside. They need people to work the upper reaches of the mine where light could possibly leak in.
Well, I was thinking like, well, obviously, horrible overlord or business owner doesn't want to do any work and is just forcing it upon like horrible work conditions just to make more profit.
I was thinking because they're dwergar, maybe they don't think of like upper dwellers to be they're like lesser beings to them. So they just hire them for cheap labor instead of treating them like people.
What? Okay. Ooh, if we would do Dwargar or dwarf,
Mhm.
what if the horrible conditions is if they take non-dwarves and they put them in the risky situations working in the mines.
Mhm.
So basically, put them in job positions that guarantees like death or mine collapse or anything like that, and just treats them as body fodder for mining.
Okay.
And so they're like very racist dwarves or
That's
Drogar.
what I was getting at. Like, they're extremely racist to any other race besides their own.
Okay. And but I was just like sort of implying it's just like doesn't matter where it is in the mines. It's just you're gonna be using explosives to clear out this certain section. Then they send like the humans or the elves or anything like that.
Right.
The non dwarvish races in there to do that initial thing. Some are going to die, and then all that stuff.
It's like some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
And he's got the height to make that true for this scenario.
Mhm.
But okay, how does the party discover this?
Hmm. Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's also still hard to get the party to actually do
I
this.
know. It's like, what would make the party want to go hire themselves away to be in a mine? Maybe you can throw this at your party if they're low on cash. And they just need a job of any kind. It's really hard for me to work my brain around getting a party to want to do this.
I know. That's one of the hardest things ever.
Maybe. Here's a thought. Um, Someone in town whose significant other was hired by this company comes to the party holding this job posting saying, "You look like strong adventurers. Could you help me? My husband, wife, significant other, whatever the term for this relationship will be, um, like they disappeared after going to their job. Can you help me find them?" It's like they're holding the job posting. They're still using it. We're still using the job posting.
I mean, that could work.
That's all I've got. So maybe then the party applies for the job under the guise of trying to find this person.
Do you think this could possibly work in a Call of Cthulhu setting?
It could. It could.
I was just wondering, like, if we
I don't think
like
they'd be dwarves then.
remember that previous. Yeah, I know, but remember that previous episode where like, oh, we couldn't really get this, and then once we changed settings, then it would made it so much easier. I was just like, do we try to do this in a different kind of setting?
What about Monster of the Week?
I mean, it's the same thing as Call of
Yeah,
Cthulhu.
I know, but I don't want to think Cthulhu again. It hurts my brain.
But you know what I mean. It's just like
Yeah.
modern time or like, 1900s.
Okay.
Do we want to do that? I'm just tossing these out here. Do you think this will be a good like steampunk setting? Do you think this would be a good sci-fi setting for like a
Mm,
space mine?
maybe sci-fi. That one could actually. I don't know any sci-fi game systems though.
I don't know either, but if you have a sci-fi setting, because like you could theoretically have D&D be a sci-fi setting if you want
This is
to.
true.
It's heavily homebrewed, but
Spelljammers actually is a sci-fi setting for D&D.
okay, there you go. But there, something like that. But just like if the setting is sci-fi, do you think would that be like inspiration to do something about this job
It
posting?
could be, yeah.
Like what kind of situation in a sci-fi setting?
Mining on an asteroid type of situation.
Okay, but what would the situation be for the party then?
Huh. I mean, I'd still go with that same, "Hey, can you help me find my significant other? You guys look like strong people and I'm just weak."
Okay. Well, what I was asking is like if it's in a sci-fi setting, would there be something that could only work in sci-fi setting for like something to happen in the mines or something that would actually be an adventure or an actual legit quest instead of going down there, finding out like the significant other is dead. You know what I mean?
Wormhole. There's a wormhole in the middle of the asteroid.
That leads to a random slot.
Yeah. It leads randomly, like, I don't know, across the universe to an undiscovered place.
I just had another, remember that go when we had the party go to Seattle.
Yeah. Oh no.
You just made me think of that where it's just like, what if there's just this portal or wormhole, and this could be in like any of the themes I just stated a second ago that leads to any of those other themes a second ago.
That would be hilarious.
But it'll be funnier if it was like if it was modern time and you have guns and then you fall into a wormhole to fantasy, or you are from sci-fi to fantasy, and then fantasy to Call of Cthulhu or Monster of the Week with still the sci-fi weapons.
Yeah, I was literally talking to someone at work about this. Like, what if somebody with like a military class battleship ended up back in like World War One?
I think that's an anime.
That one is an anime.
I think so. That sounds like an anime.
I mean, and then I proceeded to tell them about Gate, which is like the Japanese military going through a portal into a fantasy world.
Yeah, I know that anime. I actually like that anime.
I do too. It's really good.
If you take out all the stupid harem stuff, yes.
That's any anime.
Yes, well, I try to avoid harems because I think it's stupid. But what I found interesting about that anime and what I really liked about it was like the perspective of the fantasy people reacting to modern day guns
Yes.
and like the modern day tactics and all that stuff, military tactics and all that,
Hmm.
and how they're like, we can't hold up to this.
Okay.
And I found that interaction fascinating. That's why I like that show.
So, what if I just had a fun thought? So it starts out in the past, like in well, not past, but like in high fantasy type situation.
Okay.
They end up in a sci-fi world and obtain some sci-fi like weapons, armor, something for them to bring back with them. So now they're in the fantasy world, but they've got sci-fi tech.
I think that you're basically giving the party a overpowered weapon then,
Yeah, true.
or overpowered item. I That's why I
I have a
think
bad habit of that.
you do. I think if to in the sense of fairness, I think if we want to do that, it would have to be a high fantasy or like a modern day thing where you have the advanced overpowered stuff just to go into the fantasy realm
Mm,
temporarily and have their power trip because they're so much more powerful than the fantasy stuff and then come back to like your usual thing. Give the players a like power fantasy moment
yeah.
where they're super overpowered because they have modern stuff,
Okay.
and then they could come back. You can't do it the other way around, or else you would get one. The party would go over there to the high modern day technology stuff. They will either die quickly because they don't have guns, or they will grab something that's overpowered and then take it back, and now permanently has something that's really
I
overpowered.
understand this now. So, okay. I had a thought while you were talking.
Ranting.
Yeah, that too.
I do that a lot.
So they go from sci-fi to high fantasy. I just like saying high fantasy because it's the kind of books I like to read. And they happen upon maybe we can throw in Dwergar or something there, like a deep dweller place where they've been taking these people prisoner. They've been sneaking through the wormhole and grabbing people and maybe trying to sacrifice them to a god or a deity or something.
Okay. So this is for a sci-fi campaign.
Or something more powerful than your average fantasy. Like even modern day, like because they could still have guns and
Yeah.
things.
So sci-fi campaign or a modern
Yeah.
day. But the start of this still has to be a notice on
Yes.
on those hard times that the mines are hiring.
The mines are hiring. It could be, I mean, this could be the start to a campaign. And that's how the party gets together.
Okay. That suddenly remind me of like this could be a good campaign start. Where it's just modern day characters then get taught. So I've said this many times before. One of my favorite D&D podcasts is called Dungeons and Daddies. And I know the name. But the entire story of that like their campaign is their dads from our world that gets flung into the Forgotten Realms, and then they have to go on a quest to save their sons.
Hmm.
So they go through and basically an isekai, and it's our like the modern day people of like their morals, their point of view, and all that stuff interacting with and dealing with the ethics and morals of the fantasy realm.
Hmm.
And so this one could easily be just like people from modern day, like of the modern day world get sucked into, or they could all just be like, yeah, taking like jobs as miners and then get sucked into a wormhole
Hmm.
into the Forgotten Realms. And then that's the start of the entire campaign.
Yeah. It's also reminiscent of one of my favorite miniseries, The 10th Kingdom, where someone from our world ends up in a very fantasy world and has to cope. Like it's kind of crazy.
Well, I think there's a reason why isekai is so popular.
Yeah. Everybody wants to know, what if insert random scenario here.
Well, everyone wants to go into a new world and have ridiculous powers.
That too. Yeah.
Everyone wants that. Everyone who's like done with like the boring life of today and just wants to go on a life adventure.
Yep. That's why there's so many books about it. And anime.
Going back on track, do we want to say that it's gonna be a modern day or a sci-fi campaign?
Hmm.
We're only doing this as a temporary thing.
Right.
So this isn't like a campaign starter. They get a notice or they will
They have all answered this bulletin. It's like that they don't have a choice in this matter. Like,
you're still going on lines of if this is a campaign starter.
gotcha.
I'm saying if it's not a campaign starter, maybe they see the notice around or like hear rumors and all that stuff. Like make sure to point out that this bulletin, this posting is like has been seen, and have rumors go around the town about the mine opening back up, and it's like hushed rumors about like, well, it has been that long since the incidents. Are they really going to really open it back up? Kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Then the significant other
Hmm.
will go to the group, and it's like they said it was like safe and all that stuff, but so and so still hasn't returned and all that stuff. I scrounged as much money as I can. Can you? I want to pay you to investigate it. That will allow us to get the party to go and turn this into an investigation quest
Mm.
while still relying on this posting.
Okay.
Do you think that would be a fair workaround?
Yes.
And so they will investigate it and posing as workers.
Hmm.
Hopefully they'll decide to pose as workers. But I think that's the easiest way to infiltrate it.
Yeah.
They'll get sucked into a wormhole somehow.
Yeah.
I just had the sense thought like while I was talking of like, did you ever see the videos of like what started the whole no clipping into the back rooms thing on the internet?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, it was like it's. Have you ever heard of the backrooms?
Yes, I have.
Okay. There was like the people who came up with it, the YouTube channel that did it and all that stuff. They would show like home footages of someone like just stepping in the wrong place, and then it would just show them like just falling through the ground as if they no clipped through a polygon with no collision.
Right.
And so while I was talking, I was just imagining the party just like no clipping into the ground, where it's just like there's it looks like it's just a normal path, and then they just no clip.
Nice.
But I don't know how you're gonna get the party to actually fall into a wormhole.
I was thinking it was one of those, it's something that pops in and out of existence at random intervals. Like it's kind of flickering, maybe. And they'll be like, you wait for a moment when they're all standing together and flicker it into existence and it just grabs them. Like there's no save for it or anything. It's just, they're gone.
Or okay, if we're gonna go on the approach of the Duergar doing the sacrifices,
Hmm.
they would see these like small like dark creatures in the shadows or anything like that,
Mm.
and then they get kidnapped by the Duergar.
Yeah, that could also be,
And then teleport, like they just use magic to teleport them back into their plane of
just
existence.
drag them through the portal.
Well, I was like, do we want through a portal or through just teleportation magic?
Either works. So these Duergar have figured out how to teleport into a completely alien world.
If we think of it as just like planes of existence,
That's true.
I mean, if we're gonna go into Forgotten Realms, basically for this like small tangent, uh, they clearly have music, magic to
Yeah, music is magic.
yeah,
Ask any
if you're a
bard.
bard. But to have the magic to travel through different ethereal planes or anything like that, this should be easy then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think it'll be easy, like and more interesting if it was magic, because then it's not a simple just go through a portal to escape.
Mhm.
They'll have to find their own means to get back. Then
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I like that.
I don't know how they would get back. I just created a problem for ourselves in about 20 minutes.
Yep.
But
How will they get back?
so then we have the setup for them going into the fantasy realm.
Hmm.
Hopefully they'll have guns and all that stuff, right?
Most likely. Well, no, why would they bring guns to a mine?
Maybe they have it hidden.
True, they are investigating. Never mind.
They wouldn't trust the company because
Yeah.
the significant other is missing.
Right. Do we need to start naming people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of took away the owner. So
Well, I mean, no, the owner can still be there.
yeah, but they're not gonna really. They could like interact with the owner. Like that could be like the I forgot the job title, but like just the acting supervisor, but not the owner.
Okay. Like that can be Dean Holden then.
Yeah, because there's no way like people on hard times just getting an entry level position. They're not gonna meet the owner of the mines.
That's true.
They're
Yeah.
just gonna meet their boss,
Hmm. So the current like manager,
supervisor, whatever you want to call it.
mhm,
Fine. That's Dean Holdings.
Holden,
We'll do it. Holding. Sorry.
Holden, Holden. Get it right, gosh.
I'm sorry for the fictional character that I am insulting by mispronouncing his last name.
That's okay. He's probably not very nice anyway.
Anyways, let's just have the a woman and her husband missing.
Okay.
It's a stereotype.
Yeah.
Let's just go with that.
All right. So her name is Rosanna Poole
And her husband,
Miles.
Miles Poole.
Miles Poole.
Okay, so she goes to a party. My husband Miles started working. One of the first groups that started working there, he went missing. The company doesn't say anything about him going or anything. They don't even acknowledge his existence.
They're just like, what? Who are you? Go away.
Yeah, there was also the fact that it's like I think this is like one of those moments where it's just like we don't do background checks. We don't have names registered or anything like that. They just work in here, and then when they come out after certain shifts, they just get paid for the day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they get paid in cash.
Kind of like an under the table operation.
Yeah. So they refuse to acknowledge that he's disappeared or anything like that. No, like doesn't talk about him ever working there, or even if they knew or didn't knew, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then the party investigates. They get kidnapped by Drogar and then find themselves in holding cells in the
Mhm.
Forgotten Realms. Now this turns into a prison break.
Now this turns into the beginning of, oh, was that
And
campaign?
the Drogar doesn't take their weapons because they don't know what guns are.
Nice. What was that campaign called that we played before you joined us?
Oh,
Out of the Abyss.
yeah, that's what
This is almost a perfect way to start Out of the Abyss. Except it
for
wasn't
modern times.
Dwergar, it was
Drow.
Drow, yes.
Drow people are evil.
Similar concept, though.
But anyways, how do you want to handle the jailbreak?
Hmm.
At least we have a direction. I'm
Right.
happy with that.
Well, the cells they're in could be relatively easy to break out of. Like, if you know anything about how hinges work, you can probably figure out how to break out of that.
Oh, is it like is it like the first movie of the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yep. It's similar to that.
It's
Like,
all about
if you
it's all
have,
about leverage.
yup, gotta have that leverage. It could be something like that, or it could be, I don't know, anything else that knowledge from the future could easily solve.
Do we want Miles to be in the holding cells? Like it has to be like like it's probably one of those just holding cells that's just houses like a dozen people
Yeah.
and there's like multiple of them.
He was recently captured, so I would think he'd be in there. So then it just kind of turns into a whole jailbreak thing and trying to find a way back home.
Yeah. And I think in the process, maybe as the party is like getting their bearings and all that stuff, they come in and they drag Miles out.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
so he's gonna be the next sacrifice, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, we need to save him." Hopefully, they'll get
How
attached.
do they know that's Miles?
They could talk to each other, like they could talk to the
Ooh,
random people.
before they get a chance to talk to him, before they get a chance to like catch their bearings or anything, guards come in and drag out Miles, who then shouts, "Tell my wife,
Am I right?
tell my wife Rosanna, I love her." And they're like, "Oh shoot, that's the guy we're looking for."
Hmm.
Gotta throw in some, drama. So now they're kind of on a timer to break out of this, get Miles, and get the heck out of Dodge.
Well, they probably would want to save everyone, but I think
Yeah.
having Miles be the next sacrifice will be a great time, like opportunity to get them to basically stop the ritual,
Yeah.
like kill the Drogar while the ritual is commencing.
And then what? Fight some demonic entity?
Ooh, what happens if they like? Because I don't want to go too extravagant,
No.
but what happens if it's just like they fight like a Drider,
Yeah.
where it's like a Drow spider?
Yeah.
And I think that would just like be wacky enough that like it'll be very off-putting for modern day people.
Okay. So it's not some deity or something that these Dwargar are sacrificing people to. It's just a Drider, and they're just bringing him snacks.
No, I'm not saying the Drider is like the worshipping object. It's the Drider probably like
It could be.
maybe in charge. Basically, instead of like the sacrifices could be for the Spider Queen, which is an actual deity that the Drow worship,
Okay.
but it's just like they're the ones in charge, and Drogar are just doing what they're told.
Right.
It's not to summon a deity; it's just to
Eater.
pay tribute and just to honor their deity.
Okay.
It doesn't always have to be summon deity. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that just happens a lot.
That happens. In my opinion, that happens way too much, and it's just like you could just make it smaller things, like just offering or tribute, just to appease them, to make them happy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
All right.
fighting couple Driders, I'm sure that they would react badly to being shot at
Yeah,
by a loud thing.
I think that might cause an issue. And also, the muzzle flare would potentially blind them.
And them being in the underground, underdark cave,
Yeah.
I'm sure the noise isn't good either. It's
Mm-mm.
gonna deafen everyone.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that would be loud.
Or you could just ignore all that because it's a tabletop RPG.
Yep. So they get Miles back.
Yes.
And I was thinking the method that the Dwargar were using to teleport could be just like an item that they have, like a teleportation stone or something like that.
Okay, what happens if you give the party just a means to teleport to different universes?
It could be a one-shot thing, like it's a one trip there and then they had to switch to another one and it's one trip back. It only holds enough magic. Magic?
Okay.
I'm a goat now.
Magic.
Magic.
It's magic.
It only holds enough magic for one-way trips.
Yes, you could have some piece of jewelry or anything like that. Or if you want this to be like a recurring thing, or you want to inspire this for your campaign, you could have it where that thing just multiple uses, or it basically is a shuffle button.
Ooh, so they can just go universe jumping?
Universe jumping and all that stuff. And then you basically become like, I was about to say time cop.
No, there's
No,
another
it's not time cop.
there's another
It's
series I'm thinking about. I can't remember what it's called, but
You're basically Doctor Who.
it's this guy who's jumping through different universes to try to get back to his.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, it's an old show. I mean, I feel like it was old when I watched it when I was little, so
Yeah, basically that, where it's just like it's just a universe hopping campaign.
yeah.
And now I want to do that
Well,
because that sounds like a fun campaign.
here we go. Time for planning session. That's a great, it's a good start for a universe hopping campaign because now they're just trying to get back home. Oh, and they've got Miles.
Yeah, and the Miles is the lore dump or just the NPC to be the comic relief.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I mean, okay, so that is your branching point. Return them, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And you killed the Drogar, so then that even stops people from disappearing from the mines.
Yeah.
So then you can return it, wife is happy, all that stuff, Rosanna's happy. Then you could continue your way. Or you could turn into a universe hopping campaign.
Yeah. I was thinking they're just trying to get Miles home is the entire overarching campaign.
Yeah, whatever the case may be. I think it might be a little bit hard to turn, like, care for Miles that much, like, have that be the drive through the entire campaign
Mhm.
because they just met the guy. I don't think they would be that attached.
I don't know. I know some players that'd be pretty attached.
Now, if you made that into a kid, maybe.
Ooh, that.
But then
Why
what
would
would
the
a kid
why would
be
there be a
doing
kid in
in
mines?
mine?
Yeah.
Unless you make this setting in the 1920s or 1930s,
Okay, let's not go into
where
child
child labor was a thing. It
No.
was a thing.
I know, but no.
Well, you're saying no, but it did happen.
It did happen, and I don't want to go there. It's wrong.
It's a way to get the party more attached.
It's definitely more attached for sure.
But anyways, I think this was a interesting, decent, weird quest we just made.
I like it.
We were kind of fumbling in the beginning.
It happens.
It turned out to be a modern day going into a fantasy realm, then back to modern day
Yeah.
side quest. So we basically did the opposite of the Seattle episode.
We did. But this could possibly include a ton of other worlds too.
Yes, this is a good jumping off point if you want to do something.
Unintended?
Sure. Okay. Well, if you enjoyed this, if you made a campaign out of this, or if you have any job posting that you want to submit your own, let us know on Twitter at QuestboardPod. Hopefully, I will check that on a regular basis. I'm very bad at it. Sorry. But yeah, and I wish you all a good night.
And happy questing.